morning, gardening friends, and welcome to Rocky Mountain Gardens if this is your first time to stop by. Today we're going to be talking powdery mildew. Now, powdery mildew is a fungal infection that you can find on plants, usually a little bit later in the summer. But today I'm going to talk with you about a preventive measure that you can take for plants that you already know are susceptible to powdery mildew. For example, I have peonies in my daughter's garden, and then I also have tall garden phlox in my own garden that has had a problem with powdery mildew in the past. And I want to show you a couple of examples. If you're not sure about what powdery mildew looks like, this can help you identify it on plants in your own garden. So let's take a look at these two videos. Here is a perfect example of powdery mildew on this lovely peony. Can you see how infected it is? So it needs to be treated as soon as possible. Powdery mildew will not kill the plant, as I said earlier, but it certainly makes it look unattractive. And this is a beautiful peony bush. Look at those flowers. Oh my gosh, look at my poor tall garden phlox. This is supposed to be a variety that is resistant to powdery mildew, but you can see the damage on the leaves right there. So I gotta get on it as fast as I can and get this taken care of. So now that you have gotten a good look at it, at this disease, powdery mildew is, like I said, a fungal disease, and it can cover an entire plant. Now, it's very unsightly. It, makes your plant look very horrible, as you saw in those videos. But it also, generally, if it doesn't get too bad, it will not kill your plant. However, if it's left unchecked, then you can have a problem because it can block the leaves on your plant from doing their photosynthesis for creating food, to make them healthy and strong. So it really does weaken your plant for future growth, and especially for blooming, of course, which we all want from our plants. So today I'm going to share with you a recipe that I first learned about from Paul James on HGTV. I'm not sure if any of you ever watched his show. I think it was called Gardening by the Yard. And it was so informative. And he did a show that was all about homemade organic recipes that you can use for your plants to, prevent different diseases. So this is his recipe, and I actually have it on my little recipe card here that I keep in my recipe box with other homemade concoctions that are useful for treating your plants. Let's move on into my kitchen, where I will demonstrate for you how I make this recipe and how we use it in the garden. So here we are with the 3 ingredients that are needed for this recipe. 1 gallon of water, and I actually used lukewarm or room temperature water. And then we have our baking soda and canola oil. That is it. It is so simple. So according to my recipe here, I use in 1 gallon of water 1 tablespoon of baking soda. So I've got my tablespoon here, and I'm simply gonna scoop out 1 tablespoon. And I'm going to carefully pour it into the spout of my gallon jug of water. And then for my canola oil, I'm going to be using 2 1/2 teaspoons. So here's my 1 teaspoon measuring spoon. So we'll put in 2 of these. Now for some reason, the powdery mildew is really deterred in forming by the baking soda. And the purpose of the canola oil is to also kind of coat the leaves when we treat them. And also they think that it smothers the spores and the fungus itself from, being able to continue to live and grow. Now our next step will be to take this gallon jug and simply shake it up. This is such a simple process, you can see, and very safe to use in your garden. And then my next step will be to take, this is a quart size spray bottle. So I'm going to take off the sprayer and I'm going to use my funnel. This just makes it easier, less mess all over the table and everything. And pour it in, fill up that sprayer. And what's really nice about making this gallon size, and I'm just using an old water jug, is I can keep this in my garage. So the next time I want to do spraying on any of my plants, I've got a supply already prepared. And we're gonna take this spray bottle now out into the garden, and I'll give you a little demonstration about how to apply it. Here we are in the garden, and these are the 2 tall garden phlox plants that you saw in my earlier video that had a lot of powdery mildew forming on them, and right now they look really nice. The trick with this prevention treatment that we're going to be doing today is to really saturate the leaves, both the top and the undersides of the leaves. And we also want to apply this treatment every 1 to 2 weeks, or certainly after a heavy rain, because the rain of course will wash off this solution. So before we start spraying, we want to shake it well. So let's begin our treatment. Right now I'm just doing the top sides of the leaves. And then I'm going to start with the underside. And as you can see, I'm really drenching them. You want this solution to be dripping off the leaves. Because powdery mildew can form on the stems as well as the leaves, you want to be sure to cover them as well. And we'll follow the progress throughout the summer with my tall garden phlox here, and we'll see how it does. I sure do hope that you found this video helpful for you, and that you will go ahead and start treating plants that you know from past seasons have problems with powdery mildew. And this can also be used on vegetables since it is organic. So for example, I know cucumbers and squash can be very susceptible to powdery mildew. And I also have some Monarda or bee balm plants that tend to have this same problem. But in any case, if you're aware of plants in your garden that have had this problem, be sure to treat them now, and then you can hopefully stop any powdery mildew from forming this summer in your garden. All right, guys. Oops, I had a very loud bird right there. In any case, I hope to see you again in one of my next videos. Lots of more gardening videos will be coming along to help you in your backyard. And take care. I will see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye now.